Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a review on these Venum Classic boxing gloves. So check it out. Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here, and today I'm doing a review on the Venum Classic boxing gloves. It comes in this all matte black colorway. I got mine in 14 ounces. You can get this anywhere between 8 and 16 ounces, and it is a Velcro closure only glove. It is manufactured in Pakistan and it uses a synthetic style leather. Now, this is a Walmart exclusive model. You guys may have seen the video I did a couple of weeks ago when I visited my local Walmart to take a look at what kind of boxing equipment they have in their sporting goods section, what's good and what I would avoid. And I ended up picking up these Venum Classics. I threw them into the rotation to see how they performed, and honestly I was pleasantly surprised by these, all things considered, on the cost and the fact that I picked these up at a Walmart. My expectations weren't very high, but they actually surpassed my expectations for several reasons. Now, looking at the glove design wise, I did mention these are made in Pakistan and they use a synthetic outside casing with a mesh palm. The synthetic they use on here is actually, I believe, the same as what they use on some of their, I guess you can say, entry-level to mid-range gloves, similar to what the Venum Impacts use in some of their mid-tier synthetic gloves. And I actually like these classics more than I like the Venum Contenders, which is also a entry-level glove, but I like this one a little bit more just based on the actual hand compartment, the way it feels, and the actual material, the texture of the synthetic compared to that tackier style of synthetic that you find on the Contenders. So the actual glove itself, I'd say, is medium in profile. It's not too wide and it's not too short or tall in terms of height and length of the glove. You do have that serpent logo that has kind of more of a patent look to it right here on the back of the glove, and then the synthetic is matte and you have more of that design right there. It does say Venum on the 3.5-inch Velcro strap. One good thing about this being an entry-level glove is that Venum uses a multi-layer foam padding. That's more on the dense side, so this is definitely more of a protective glove, especially for those of you that are in a pinch, need to get yourself some gloves and have to run to the local Walmart. These would do a really good job of protecting your hands and offering you some good amount of shock absorption for this type of glove. So multi-layer foam padding, a nylon attached thumb, and then you have a mesh palm right here that's good for ventilation and also good for durability, as well as if you get a piece of Velcro stuck to this, it'll end up snagging this material, and it's really thin. So one thing about mesh too, I noticed that the inside liner sometimes gets soaked up with sweat and can smell really bad. So it's always a good idea to let these really air out if you ever get these type of gloves. The grip bar on here is, I'd say, about medium in size, and it has a good amount of density to it right there. You have another serpent logo right here, as well as 14 ounces that's printed. You have that whole wraparound Velcro strap, and the inside of the glove uses a polyester nylon liner, pretty standard for the vast majority of the gloves. And then you have the tag that on the inside that says 54. Maybe, I'm assuming that's whoever manufactured or put the gloves together. They have probably like a station where they put these gloves and kind of finish them off. And then it has the weight tag on the inside saying 14 ounces as well. Now, quality wise, obviously you get kind of what you pay for when it comes to these type of gloves. So if you're kind of putting on an even playing field in terms of, if I were comparing it to gloves in that $30 to $50 range, these aren't bad, to be honest with you. I'd say the shining star or the bright spot when it comes to the quality is going to be the synthetic. Now, compared to Everlast really cheap gloves like the Pro Style Elite gloves or the Pro Style gloves that feel really cheap and thin, even those Everlast core gloves, they just feel really thin. Like the synthetic on there doesn't feel high quality, and with just some sweat or heat and moisture, it ends up breaking that synthetic down. The synthetic that Venum uses is to me more durable. It's much I feel it's much thicker and just an overall better quality compared to the stuff that Everlast uses and some of the other brands that kind of go with a cheaper synthetic. Obviously the meshes, as far as durability, is not the best. A lot of people are not fans of that, and it does feel kind of on the thin side. You do have a decent amount of padding right here, but don't expect there to be a lot of support, especially on the front side of your palm. The good thing is that these gloves are actually almost on point with weight. I believe the right glove is at 13.9 ounces and the left gloves are at 14.1. So for an entry-level glove, for them to be almost exactly on weight, that's great to see. The stitching looks pretty good overall. I mean, you can see the stitching on the thumb where it meets the index finger, looks really clean. I don't have any issues with any kind of bubbling. And that's one thing I noticed, I think it's more common with molded foam gloves, is you see kind of deformities and bubbling in the foam padding, where with this multi-layer foam you don't see that. So that's really good to see. You know, the material itself looks to be in pretty good shape. You know, no issues with the symmetry of the glove. So the left and the right's even. You have about an inch of padding on the back of the wrist that's firm, and then the inside portion is relatively nothing there. It's just this really soft floppy padding, which brings to the balance of the glove. So you see the glove is extremely top heavy because of this mesh palm and the lack of support on the inside of the wrist. It's pretty unbalanced, so it's really top heavy in terms of all the padding being from right here to the top of the glove, and there's relatively nothing down here. So, you know, this midsection is going to be an issue. So if you do have some kind of wrist injury or wrist issue and you end up using these gloves, I would definitely recommend getting some tape, medical tape or boxing tape, and tape off your wrist prior to putting on these gloves to give yourself that extra support. Now, comfort-wise, putting these gloves on, for a 14-ounce glove, they feel right on point in terms of the profile and the size of the glove. Like, the inside doesn't feel too compact and snug. It doesn't feel too wide either. The thumb is really nicely positioned. I don't feel like this piping pitches down on the fat part of my lower portion of my thumb. The depth of the thumb is really good, and it has a decent amount of flexibility to it as well. So when I make a fist and the attached thumb comes down, you can see that it doesn't pull down and pinch down on the tip of my thumb, which is good. A good amount of depth, which is surprising. So I like how deep the finger compartment is, and it's relatively a flexible glove. You can see that I can open and close my hand with relative ease, which is really great. And again, that's more attributed to the fact that it uses multi-layer foam compared to molded foam, which I've always mentioned before in those type of videos. So relative easy when it comes to opening and closing your hand. The finger compartment's not too wide, not too narrow, so you don't feel like your fingers are kind of bunching up together, and I really like that. So overall feels really good. The wrist support feels pretty bad. It's lacking in wrist support, but again, I showed you guys earlier, there's relatively no padding and no wrist support in this intersection. You can actually see how this material just kind of folds over when you put on that Velcro strap. So it's pretty cheap when it comes to the inside wrist support, which can definitely be improved. Now the actual protection and performance, you know, aside from the wrist support lacking, I would say that this is more of a protective style glove. Really good for shock absorption. You don't really get much feedback at all with this glove because it's definitely more on the dense side. It's going to take a little bit of a break in period. So if you're looking for more of a puncher style glove where you really get nice good pop and crack out of it, you're not going to really get it with this glove, but it's definitely good for bag work, good for hitting the mitts, okay for sparring. It's a little bit on the hard side. If I were to be honest with you, I would probably recommend, like what Rival recommends, is to kind of break the glove in to get the foam a little bit softer prior to actually using it on somebody in sparring, to kind of soften up the impact zone over the knuckles right here. That would be my best recommendation for that. But overall, a pretty protective glove in terms of shock absorption, but the wrist support definitely is lacking. Cost-wise, gloves are about $33, which is a really good price. I mean, if all things considered, comparing it to some of the other entry-level gloves from Everlast, some of the stuff that we'd see at a local department store. I think this is a good glove. Out of all the budget entry-level gloves that you can get locally at any kind of sporting goods, Walmart, Target, Dick's Sporting Goods, Big Five, I'd say that these probably rank up higher on that list. If you're in a pinch and you need to just go pick up a pair of gloves. So $33, $34 is definitely not a bad price at all. Considering the the protection over the knuckles, the quality of the synthetic is definitely a better grade than what Everlast uses, for at least for their beginner gloves. Wrist support is lacking. Quality is pretty solid for what it is. So an overall solid glove for $34. I can't really complain. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Venum Classic boxing gloves. I'll see you guys later. Take care.